Hello.
Hi.
How's it
Just
going?
putting in my earbuds real quick.
Yeah, that's smart.
Now,
All
of course,
right.
my kitty decided to start playing right here.
That's
She's
okay. Yeah, no, she
like
can join us.
playing on her little
Hi,
box right there.
sweetie. She can totally
I,
join us because this is really meant to be also to some extent a little informal.
I have all of my, I have my whole setup.
Look at you. Wow. This is amazing. So this is your YouTube
But
room,
this
basically.
is where I teach my classes. Like
Right?
this is all my equipment. This is my space. I have my mat and
I
I have
love it.
my lighting and
I
equipment and all
love it.
that.
This is
So,
fantastic.
um,
Thanks for showing that. This is great. No, I want to see your space. That's good. That's good. All right.
this is what would have been, and I was going to mention that is, kind of the compromises we made in that this would have been our living room. So, we
Right.
gave up our living space in order to have a
Well, you
workspace.
have to adjust, right? When things change
You
in
had
life,
to.
you have
Yeah, you
to
had to.
adjust. And I think
So,
being adaptable is sort of like it's almost like the first sign of being an adult in the real world, right? Because you have to
yeah,
adapt to life because life changes
yeah,
all the time.
yeah. No, it's true. And if you're too rigid, you are ultimately going to be disappointed. Your
Yeah,
expectations are never going to be met. You're just setting yourself up
I
for
agree.
to be miserable.
I agree. And
So,
sometimes that's hard to do to always be adaptable, right? Because I know for myself I'm a Taurus and you're a Taurus too, right?
yep,
So I think as a
yep,
Taurus that can be a little bit challenging sometimes because you have certain expectations and then you just like,
absolutely.
wait a second, you just changed
Yeah,
that on me or something just changed on me. Like how did
yeah.
and so I know I struggle with that sometimes, having a fixed sign in my chart. I struggle sometimes with the adaptability factor, but I have to remind myself, like I just talk to myself about it. I say,
Right,
you know what?
right,
Just chill out, adapt here
right,
because that always
right.
ends up being better than not adapting.
Absolutely. And I will share with you one of my favorite quotes, which I believe came from Steve Jobs, which is, you can never connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them once you look back. And
Yes.
I always remember that. And I have actually been living by that, or trying to, for, I don't know, I think maybe the first time I heard that was maybe 10 years ago. And it's so true.
I love
What you think is going to be a horrible change, this is never going to work. I can't live without this person in my life.
yeah,
Whatever it is, it ends up leading you to something that is next,
yeah.
that is meant to be next.
Yeah, I love
So,
that. Yeah, that's
you
it.
know,
That's it. I love when people have little quotes and little mottos that they live by because I think it's always so interesting to see like it
yeah,
tells you also something about the person, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
really
No,
fantastic.
it's
Yeah, I love
true.
that. So
All right.
so let's first of all let's talk a little bit about you and like who you are because I want people who are watching this to
Yeah.
really get a sense for how amazing you are. And I've seen some of your Pilates videos on YouTube, and I just absolutely love them. I think you are so amazing. I mean,
Oh, thank
not
you.
even to talk about like you're really good as a teacher, but also I think you are just watching you do your thing. It's like it's really great. You're so good at it. And you have a fantastic body. And I'm just so jealous.
Oh,
I'm like, oh my God, like I have to get more fit. Looking at Yvette, I'm like, my
no.
competitive side comes out, and I'm like, I have to get more fit. Just
You know
looking.
what? I have students who come up to me all the time, or they'll ask me after class, or they'll contact me separately and say, "Okay, what am I supposed to be eating? What do you do? How do you tone your arms?" And I'm really honest with them, and I say, a lot of this is genetic. If they met my dad and my siblings, they're all like little bean poles.
Yeah.
So if I didn't work out, would I be a large woman? Probably not. Would I be healthy? No. But
Probably
you know what
not.
I mean? And so I think
Yeah.
you have to accept what you're predisposed with, what you came to this world with. You can't change that.
Yeah.
Like, I wish a lot of things about myself would be different
Oh,
all
yes.
the time. We all do that.
We all have that.
But
Yeah.
then you say, okay, this is what I've got to work with. I'm always going to have a small chest. I'm always going to have these things that you go, ugh, I wish something would be different, you know?
Yes,
But,
absolutely.
and then it's just being one hashtag that I started using in a lot of my posts was your best body awaits. Because I like saying, I like not defining it as your thinnest body or your tone or muscular or any of these things. It is, what is the best version of yourself?
Yeah, and what's
That
the healthiest version of
what is it
yourself
that
too,
makes you
right?
feel good? What
Yeah.
is it that makes you feel healthy? And that
Mhm.
kind of plays into what you have been talking about in the interviews you've been doing, which is, spiritually, mentally, physically, all those things,
Yeah, it's
you
like
know?
a holistic approach. You have to have a holistic approach with
Right,
yourself
right,
because
right.
if you don't, there's always something that's lacking or that's missing, right?
Yeah,
There's always a
yeah,
link that's not, you don't feel fully
absolutely.
complete, right? If you're just
Yep,
focusing on your body or you're just focusing on your mind, or you're just focusing on your emotions, you know, not that any of those are, I mean, they're all great to focus on, but as a combination, that's what really makes
right.
it powerful, right?
Right, right. And yeah, and it makes me crazy, especially in the industry I'm in,
Yes.
when I see people who say, you can have a flat stomach in, you know, a
Three
month
days.
by doing this, or this is gonna tone your butt. It's
Yes.
just, it's just not, doesn't always work that way, you
Not for
know?
everybody, anyways. Yeah.
So I feel like
Everybody has
that
different
is,
genetics and stuff, and
yeah,
yeah, because
and
I
that's
know that for
so
myself too.
hard.
Like, I can so quickly lose weight. I can very quickly gain weight, and I can lose it like that too. But that's just my genes. Like I know other people that eat less than me, way less than me, because I am a big eater, and
Me too.
they're way bigger than me. And
Yeah.
it's not that they're not taking care of their diet, right? But
Right.
there's just something sometimes in your metabolism that's just way faster than other
Sure.
people's metabolism.
Sure.
So you have to honor where you're at, right?
Yeah. And it could be the place you're at in your life too.
True.
Um,
In terms of
all of
age
those
or in
things
terms of like, yeah,
affect it. And trust me, I know that
thing.
firsthand. I have experienced that so many times in my life where I've thought I was eating well. I thought I was getting sleep. I thought I was doing everything right, but I ignored sort of the big pink elephant in the room, which is you have a really stressful situation going on, or you're really emotional about something that's happening in your life. And,
Mm,
you know, you, you
yeah,
think, it's not a big deal because it's only one portion. I'm doing everything else right. But
right.
all of those things,
Everything interacts with everything, right? It
right,
impacts everything that
right,
happens in your life impacts with everything else. Yeah.
right. And I
So
know for
yeah.
me, sometimes it's even hard to separate what this is my little guy,
Oh,
Jasper.
hello.
Here he is.
Hi,
Hello.
Jasper. Oh, I did. I've never
He,
met Jasper. I love
yeah, this is
you.
Jasper. He often will wander into my classes and he's a class favorite. People
What
ask for
kind of a
him.
breed is he?
He is, we did the doggy DNA test just recently. He is
Okay.
half beagle, half chihuahua.
Oh, half beagle, half
Right?
chihuahua. Oh my
Right?
God.
No, no, no.
I think you mentioned that to me in our last conversation. Yeah, I
Yeah,
just couldn't really
yeah,
picture him, but he's so
yeah.
cute.
Isn't he sweet? He's a good boy.
He's
Um,
really awesome. Because Stephen and
so
I would like to get a dog as well at some point, and
yeah,
so we're kind of looking at like right now we're looking at like which direction would we like to go? Like
right,
how
right.
big, how small, how many hair, like all that stuff.
Let
Yeah.
me tell you, hair, you just have to, you have to let go. I mean, you have cats.
Yeah.
You get to a point where you try to keep hair off things and then you go, I give up.
Yeah. No,
I,
I know how it is. I mean, yeah.
leather furniture. We have a lot of leather furniture.
I have little vacuum cleaners everywhere in the house, and I just whenever I see hair, I just go "Toot," and
Right,
then put it
right.
on the side.
Right. And those lint rollers, we should have bought stock in the company that makes those because we have one in every corner and we're
That's
constantly rolling
funny.
ourselves. Yeah, I know.
So,
Um,
let me just say, I mean, okay, so you do Pilates, right? I know that from the
I
videos,
do.
but
Yeah.
I saw that you also do something called bar and Zumba
Yep.
and Soul Power and Schwinn cycling. I don't even know what that is.
Those,
What is that?
so those are certifications I have. Currently, I don't.
Okay,
So Zumba is, a lot of people know Zumba. It's probably one of the
right.
most
I've heard
popular
that.
forms of fitness in America, if not worldwide.
Yeah.
It's a dance-based fitness that was
Right.
sort of established in Latin America.
Yeah.
Um,
Which that's a perfect
and
for you since you have the dancing background, right?
exactly, that's why I got my certification.
Yeah.
Soul Power, which is SOLE,
SOLE.
um,
Yes.
that is a tap dance based fitness.
Oh.
So that was started by a very well known tap dancer in New York City. And he tried to get it to come to gyms, and I think he's still working on it. But that is a little less common because a lot of people think they're gonna have to have a dance background to do it. But
Right.
it's really fun. Um,
I
I'll be
have to
curious to
say, I
see.
tried tap dancing once in New York. I took a class and I was horrible at it, and it was so frustrating. And I literally,
Hard.
I went into doing this with like this like sense of like, oh, this is gonna be awesome. I'm gonna know how to do this like, ta, 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 ta. And I
Yep.
walked out of that class feeling like a complete loser. I was like, oh my
Oh,
God,
it's like,
I will never learn this.
tap dancing, it's kind of like learning to play the piano. You
It's
can't go in and
hard.
all of a sudden play, a whole song. You have to do the scales. So really learning how to use the front of your foot, the back of your foot.
Yeah.
Um, it's
It's
hard. I have
hard.
an unfair advantage. I started really young. So,
Right. I mean, if you start younger, of course, then it's in your body and your muscle have the memory of
right,
that. And
right,
yeah, but
right.
I started this in my 30s. So
Yeah.
it was definitely
It's not too late. You
too
can do
late
it.
for me. Well, I would have had to have way more commitment to it. But I just, after a couple of classes, I was just like, I don't think this is for me. I don't
So,
think I have the endurance to stick with this. It was
right,
just
right.
too frustrating. But I
I
love people that can do it. I think it's fantastic. I love tap.
Well, and the people who are really accomplished at it, the people who can it's just, one move is flowing to the next. That's a gift. That's a true, it's
Oh,
like being a drummer with your feet,
yes.
I think. It's
I
a
think
gift.
it's the people that can really be in this Zen place with what they're doing,
Yeah,
right? Like whether that's tap
right.
or an instrument or art, you have to be able
Exactly.
to get into that Zen place.
Right,
I
right,
always like to say, I mean, I have that with astrology sometimes when I talk to a client, I really feel like I'm in a Zen place because I forget time and space. Like I don't think about where I am. I don't think about what
right,
time it is.
right.
I'm in this like it's like it's almost like a bubble that I'm in, you know?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like when you achieve something like that with what you're doing, where you're good at, that's when you're in your Zen place, right?
And that's when you are a lucky person. Okay.
Yes.
No, truly. I mean, I feel so grateful that my job
Mm,
is the thing that brings me so much joy and peace and serenity and all those things. It's just,
yeah.
yeah, I'm beside
But
myself
but I
sometimes when I
also
think
want
about
to say it's probably not always been that way, right? I mean, it's not like you finish school and you're in that place, right? Where you're like, oh yeah, I'm in my Zen place. It takes
Absolutely, yeah,
time, I think, to cultivate and to understand, who you are, what you're good at, what brings you joy, and to get slowly to that place where you can say, you know what? I'm zooming into this. I mean, some people are lucky at
right,
a very early age to know that already, but I
right,
didn't get to that until my late 30s, right? Like
yeah,
I didn't do astrology. I mean, I studied it for a long time, but I didn't actually start a business until 2010. So,
right.
I mean, and
No, I agree.
I think you with Pilates, that was also something that came a little bit later, right?
I have been teaching now for 10 years.
Right.
And so, yeah, I definitely had gone through a few different careers
Right.
before I found this, you
Right.
know. It's interesting though, because it does um, get me back to my roots as a child, which was I was a dancer. I
Right.
had started dancing when I was 3. I danced my whole life.
Wow.
Um, so it's definitely something that I feel like
That was
I
important.
was meant to get back to.
Yeah.
I was meant to move always. I
Right.
know that. That
Yeah.
is something I will have to have
You're a very
forever.
active
I will
person.
never be able to just do a job where I sit at a desk, period.
Yeah.
You know?
Graphic design must have been difficult for you because
Well,
you
you
sit
know what?
in front of the
As
computer so much, right?
as a tourist, you're going to understand this. There was something about the methodical nature of it,
Mm,
um, the discipline of it.
And the
that
beauty of it too,
really,
right? Because you,
really appealed to me.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And um, I love color and texture and,
right.
everything about the way things look and feel. And
Yes,
so
that's very Taurus.
designing,
Yeah,
very Taurus, right?
very Taurus. Yeah,
It's sensory
tactical
things.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, choosing color palettes, and I eventually, what I did for years in New York City, which I fell into, was museum exhibition design. So that
Oh,
ended up sort of
beautiful.
being my niche.
Oh,
I didn't
great.
study that in school. It was completely by accident that I got into that. And then I ended up working for all these museums in the city, and I designed, I don't even know how many museum exhibitions
I
over the
didn't
years,
even know
maybe
that.
like
That's
25.
awesome.
Um,
I love
and
that you did
that
that.
got me more into the three-dimensional world to really look at materials and finishes and, paints and it just, yeah, I think that's why it really
So
appealed to
what was
me.
the transition for you from like graphic design to Pilates? Like, how did that happen? Like, when did you know like you had to switch?
You know what? I had done graphic design for a long time, and it's a tough job because you work mostly by yourself,
Right.
um, at a desk, at a computer, all day, and you can be working on jobs. It's the type of job that you don't just leave at 5 o'clock and go home.
Right.
You have these deadlines. Sometimes I would often be working
Hours.
until 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, all the time.
Yeah.
And I think I realized when I was probably sort of had just gotten into my mid 30s that I was starting to feel a little burned out. I was starting to feel like, it caught up with me.
Yeah.
Even though I loved it, it just became
A
really
lot of
tough,
work. It's a
a
lot of
lot
work.
of work.
Mm-hmm.
And I had also started doing freelance. Well, I sort of established my own studio. So I ended up doing a lot of work for myself. I had my own clients. So I
Right.
was managing jobs. I was a project manager. I was handling all the administrative end of it and doing the creative part of it. So I think that I sort of felt it back up, and
Lots of hats to carry to wear, right?
I would
Lots
start
of,
taking some classes,
yeah.
and I realized then as well that sitting that long, I had had some weird health issues that came up that no
Mm,
doctor could give me
figure
any
out.
diagnosis for. They're
Hmm.
like, you're fine. And I felt things in my body. I was like, this is real. I know it is.
Right.
And I think it was just things manifesting themselves, building up,
Yeah.
and it was truly frustrating. I remember getting test after test after test, and they were like, nope, your heart is fine, your lungs are fine, your everything, neurologically you're fine. It was just bizarre.
But I gotta
um
tell you, because I sit a lot in my job as well, right? Because of doing everything on Zoom and Skype and FaceTime and everything and writing a lot, you know. And I have to say, like, I need to constantly get up and move around in my house, you know, and I have
yeah,
to do
right,
exercise when I get up in the morning because I definitely feel like with all the sitting that I'm doing, if I don't balance that out with some stretching and moving and doing something else with my body
right,
will start to feel really locked in. I mean,
right.
what I also do a lot is I've started getting massages quite frequently, which of course is not a bad thing for Taurus to get, right? We love
Yeah.
massages. But I've also
Sensory
noticed that
again.
just being able to move the energy around, right, with a
Right,
person moving the energy on my
right,
body has also helped with all the sitting. And then I also see a chiropractor, you know, because
got it.
um, with the neck adjust, you know, that because when you sit in front of the computer, you know, you're just not always sitting upright
No,
like this. You know, sometimes
no,
you're slouching, sometimes your head is down, or sometimes it's too
right.
up,
Or,
and
to
you
the
can get
side, or
really, or you just sit like that, you know, and it can really, your body can get really stuck in that position, you know,
right,
there's no
right,
movement. So
right.
having these little support systems in place, and I'm just wondering for you, like, is would you say that Pilates is like something that can really support you with like for people who sit a lot or have jobs that where they can't you know, I mean, a lot of people have jobs where they sit a lot, right? I mean, office,
Yeah, most people do.
most people do, which is
Yeah,
so unnatural for a human being, right? For as human
right,
beings, we're not made to sit,
right,
right?
right,
I mean, I think
right.
in very ancient cultures, people actually they will not even sit. They will go into a what do you call that when you go into a
Like a
crouch?
squat.
Squat. Yes,
Yep,
they sit in a squat, right? Like
right.
in ancient cultures, like they don't even
Yep,
have chairs because it's like
right,
it's natural to be so that your spine is still straight, right?
right, right.
'Cause when we sit in a chair, it's so easy for the spine to just go,
Oh, it is. And I don't care how ergonomic your chair is. Um,
right?
it's, you can still, I mean, I have a super expensive chair from Herman Miller that is, you can adjust everything on it. And I still find myself, I know better. Don't tell anybody. I still find myself kind of like this or like, and
Sure.
I go,
Well,
oh God,
because you
I know better.
you can't be conscious of how your position is 24/7, right? It's
Right,
you're gonna go
right,
into an unconscious place once in a while, and
right.
that's human, I think, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I feel like Pilates is my therapy. It's something, it was based it was developed in World War II
Oh,
to
really?
help rehabilitate soldiers, injured soldiers.
Huh.
So if
I didn't.
they say say they had a severe leg injury, or
Yeah.
say they lost a leg or something happened that would have them bedridden,
Right.
um, the rest of their body could easily atrophy as they were um, healing, you
Right.
know? So it was developed to help them sort of keep the rest of their body healthy and moving while they were healing in a hospital bed. So that's why those traditional Pilates machines, the reformer we call it,
Right.
with kind of a flat bed that has all these pulleys on it, it looks like some
Right.
kind of medieval device. And that's why it was originally
Because it kind
based
of is.
on the hospital bed. When
Right.
when if someone had a leg that was in a cast, they would hook it on like a thing and
Right.
pull it up and down. Um, and then it moved into, it was brought to the States and it moved into being used for dancers for similar reasons. So if they were,
Yeah.
rehabbing from an ankle injury, well, they couldn't just let the rest of their body sit.
Yeah.
So there's all sorts of moves
Well,
that they could
athletes,
do.
I'm sure athletes were using it as well.
Absolutely. And what's great about Pilates is it was developed, Joseph Pilates, who is the person who founded it. Um, he was really into all different types of exercise. He did yoga. He did different types of sort of, I don't know if he did Tai Chi or other types of
Um,
martial arts.
Marshall.
Um,
Hmm.
and he also based it on different types of stretching.
Hmm.
So it wasn't just sort of an exercise. I really feel like, the reason it's lumped into the mind body category of sort of types of exercises, it really is. And it's really based on breath. So every exercise I will cue, I mean, someone might do a different type of breathing, that's fine. But most every exercise is cued with breath. It reminds you to breathe, So even if you're not
So
breathing the exact
valuable.
same place, it
Yes.
reminds you to breathe. And I think that's why I fell in love with it, because it felt like I would take a class, I would be in a class, an hour-long class when I first started, and come out and be sweating and really feel like I had worked hard. But I'd also feel like I had just meditated for an hour. It was the strangest. I had never sensed anything like it. It was the first time I ever had that. And I was hooked. That was it.
Yeah.
Um, and I truly believe I have a lot of students and private clients who have injuries, conditions,
Right.
all sorts of things. And I think most everybody can do a form of Pilates. It is that type of exercise that
You can
it is
fit it to everybody's like needs, whatever stage you're
absolutely,
in. Yeah.
absolutely.
I find
Yeah,
that I mean, I think for me, yoga and Pilates are the two exercises that I love the most because I feel that I can always adjust it to my own energy level and where I'm at that day, And I
absolutely.
like that
Yep,
because I don't like
right,
to push myself when it comes to my body. and
Right.
I don't want to overexert myself because then I feel like I'm more prone to injury, or I
Right.
just get so exhausted that I can't do anything else anymore.
Right.
So I like to be very conscious of how much I do with my body so that it feels
Right.
just right. Like it's still
Right.
exercise, but it's not overwhelming, right?
Yeah. I agree 100%. And what's funny is on the flip side of that, I have people who say, well, Pilates, it's like stretching, right? Because also a lot of the exercises I do, I'll have students who were in PT for a month, say, and then they come and take a class and they go, a lot of the moves you do are similar to what I did in PT. And they are. They're rooted in a lot of sort of those therapeutic moves.
Right.
But then I also have people who say, like I said, oh, it's just a stretch class. And I'm like, not at all.
Oh,
Pilates can be incredibly athletic and
yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
So I think
Well,
that's
it's
what I
core
love about it
building,
too.
isn't it? Don't you kill,
Yeah.
you build the core with Pilates. So tell me a little bit about what's the benefit of building your core? Like why do that?
Uh, how much time have you got? Um, you know,
The short
simply,
version.
simply everything we do in life, everything, from every moment you're awake,
Yeah.
every movement you do originates from your core.
Yeah.
You reach for your shampoo in the shower, you walk your dog, everything
When
you're
you get
doing
up out
is,
of bed or out of a chair, you engage the core.
it's like a lot of people think, oh, to sit down or stand up in a chair is just about my legs. Well,
Right.
no,
Yeah.
to walk, to any other sport you do, whether it's weightlifting, swimming, it all engages your core.
Right.
So I don't care if you have super powerful legs and really big biceps. If
Right.
your core is weak, you're going to be prone to injury.
I was just gonna say that, no core, no, there's a lot of injury. Yeah.
No, no. And I see this all the time. I see, these people at the gym, these bodybuilders who are building this crazy body that might be aesthetically pleasing,
Yeah.
but then I see them walk and they're so tight, or they can barely touch their toes.
Right.
And in my head, I think, I give that person 10 years and they're going to need PT. They're going to have all types of injuries.
Yeah.
They're never going to make it past 40 without
Yeah.
having pain.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great foundation for anything you do. If you don't do anything else, that's fine. But if you're a soccer player, a football player, tennis player, I train people who do golf, cyclists, runners, and they find it so beneficial because it
Yeah.
just supports everything you do.
Yeah.
Um, and
And did you
especially
say,
for most of us, back issues. That's the biggest thing.
oh, I know, because when your core is strong, your back gets stronger, right?
Yeah, because
Yes.
also a misconception is a lot of people think core is just the front part of your body. It's just that pretty six pack.
It goes all the way. It
Yeah,
goes
but they don't
from the front to
understand
the
that your core includes all the muscles that support your spine. And there are so many muscles that run from your tailbone all the way up to your neck that are
back.
part of your core.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Now, what was I going to ask you? Oh, I was going to ask you about age. Like, are there people that are like, in terms of like someone who is like an elderly, for example, like a senior person, like, would they still be able to do Pilates, or like, do you have like, I
absolutely.
mean, do you teach classes that are geared towards specific age groups or like specific, I don't know, needs that people have, like, or do you mostly just do your own standard classes and that's that?
I I I do in a way. So I when I have clients who have specific needs, I will more often do private sessions with them.
Right.
But I have people in my class, ages ranging from 20s to, let's see, I have one student who I believe is 83.
Awesome.
So I have had students in their 80s all the time, and the way I teach, I always try to give levels. So I
Options.
always like to say, you can keep
Yes.
your feet on the ground, or
Yes.
you can bring your legs to tabletop, or you can straighten your legs, or so there.
Right.
More often than not, there's a progression.
Yes.
And then I also encourage people to just sit it out if they can't do it.
Perfect.
But I teach a pretty classic Pilates mat class on Monday nights as part of my Zoom schedule.
Yeah.
And that is the class that a lot of people take who are kind of managing conditions,
Okay.
because it is all on the mat, because it doesn't require any equipment also. So it's super easy.
Okay.
All you need is a mat and yourself.
And what time on Mondays?
It's at 6:30 Eastern time.
6:30.
Yeah, and it's on
Okay.
Zoom.
I
And
might
what's
join you.
great is also, I encourage people to try out a class if they want to. They don't even have to take a live class. I record these classes and then I post them on my on-demand library.
Perfect.
So then, I have people taking classes in Singapore, in Greece, in France, and, so they can do
Different
it on their own
times.
time.
Yeah, different time
Um,
zones. That's perfect.
but
So
that's the
how do you get to the on-demand videos? Do you need to become a member or something?
You don't need to be a member. No, I have them posted on this platform called Sutra.
Super.
Um, I forget
And we'll
exactly.
have links underneath the video for all of
Yeah,
your
yeah,
stuff so
yeah.
that people can click on that if
Okay.
they need to.
So that is the platform I use to post my schedule, my Zoom schedule, and also where I have my on-demand library.
Beautiful.
So once you log into that website
Just
and
go to your
create an
name.
account, then
Yeah.
you can purchase one class. You can purchase a class pack. You can take a live class. It gives you all the options.
Okay,
But
great, great. And I
yeah,
know you
yeah,
have
yeah.
some stuff on YouTube as well, right? Do you have
I
some?
do. So if anyone wants to see, what I'm about and say, all right, this looks cool, I have free classes on YouTube. Yeah. So it's just my name,
There's
Yvette
free
Lenhart
classes on
Pilates.
YouTube. Then there is classes you can purchase on what's it called? Sutra?
It's on Sutra. Yeah.
Sutra. Okay.
Yeah.
Under your name, Yvette Leonard, and
hmm
um, and then you also do retreats, and I'm really intrigued by the retreats. I've always wanted to go on a retreat with you, so tell me a little bit about the retreats.
You know what? That is truly like a passion project. I
What's that?
co-founded this company, Strength and Serenity,
Uh-huh.
with a dear friend of mine, Cheryl Alexak, who is she's an amazing yoga instructor. She does all types of yoga. She does everything from vinyasa. Uh, she does booty yoga, which is, that kind of dance yoga, which is awesome if you've never
Oh, I
tried it.
didn't know that. That sounds
Yeah,
awesome.
it's super
Buddha
cool. She
yoga?
does booty yoga, which is
Booty yoga.
BUTI. Um,
Uh-huh.
it's super cool. It's kind of a cross between sort of
Belly
almost
dancing and
like
yoga?
African dance,
Oh,
sort of,
African dance.
because
Okay.
you're doing kind of like isolations in different part of your body,
Uh-huh.
and you just might be moving your hips or moving your shoulders, and
Uh-huh.
it's really fun.
That
It's
sounds
it's
fun.
it's it's hard not to have a good time in that class.
Oh, that sounds
Um,
amazing. Yeah.
and she also does yoga nidra, which is guided meditation. She's a Reiki
Right.
master. She's a certified Thai masseuse. She is sort of
Wow. Whole package.
so versed in all of those things.
Wow, we
And
should have her on the show as well.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. And
Yeah.
and one of those people that is truly beautiful inside and out, kind of like you, Sonia. I
Um,
mean, truly, she's someone I just gravitated to because she's
yeah.
so honest.
How did you
It was
guys
just,
meet?
we met through a mutual friend and
In New
we
York
would
or?
see each other socially.
Uh-huh.
And I think she started teaching yoga about the time when I think I was doing my certification process.
Okay.
And I was just fascinated with how she had started teaching classes. And I was like, one day I want to have my own class. Be careful what you wish for.
That's cute. Yeah.
And so, sort of, the opportunity came along to do a retreat back in, I think it was 2014. And then sort of the rest is history. We decided to just continue
Do it
it.
every
We
year.
came up with our name. So she calls me Strength and I call her Serenity, although we're a
Oh,
little bit of both each.
I'm sure
Um,
you are, but I love that.
so
Okay.
it's great because we pick these amazing locations. We've done them all over the country and in Puerto Rico. So we hope to start moving other
Is it
locations
always in
too.
Puerto Rico or
Nope.
no?
That was the first time was last year,
Okay.
in March, just before everything shut down. It
Right.
was kind of an amazing timing that we squeaked that in.
Thank God.
Um,
Yeah.
but so we always rent a large home. We like to have an intimate setting.
Nice.
that isn't at a hotel. So it's never surrounded by other people.
Oh,
We
I love
only have
that.
our group.
So it's
We
very
always
private.
hire very private. And
Nice.
it kind of allows you to let it all go,
Yeah.
which is what it's about. You don't have to worry about dressing up for dinner or seeing people at the pool. It is the group you came with, and everybody just, you don't have to wear makeup. You don't have to bring fancy shoes. You just come in whatever you're wearing.
Be
If you want to show up
yourself.
at breakfast in your pajamas, great.
I love it. That
It's
just sounds
really,
just like something I want to do.
yeah. And it is, we have been amazed at what happened that we didn't plan, which were friendships that were formed,
Mm.
um, people that came away saying, I didn't even know how much I needed this. Like they would come after losing a parent or breaking up with someone, and they would
Yeah.
truly, say it was a transformative sort of
Experience.
experience.
Yeah.
And that's what we go for without making it too much about that. We have fun. We do wine tastings. We always hire a private chef. So our
Ooh,
menu is
good
based on our
food.
group, but it's always based on our group. So like we have a retreat coming up in July, and
Yes.
there's someone who's allergic to onions. So we're not going to have one onion anywhere near the menu.
Me too. I'm allergic
Yeah.
to
There is someone who's gluten free.
onions. Uh-huh.
So we are going to make sure that every meal is either gluten free or has a gluten free option. So we
Awesome.
make it that specific. We don't ever want someone showing up for dinner and
And
everyone is
not
having
feeling
one
good.
meal, but
Yeah.
you have a different meal,
Yeah.
because again, that separates them. That
Yeah.
creates
You
a
want it to
divide.
be
And
like
we
a
want
community
everyone
experience.
to feel yes.
Yeah. I
So
love
we put a
that.
lot of thought into that, into really making this bond. And it's not always just women. We've had men on the trip too.
Yeah.
It just works. And it's just amazing what happens when you take people out of their environment into an environment where they don't feel pressure in any way. We say, you want to take classes? Great. You don't want to take a class and you want to stay in your room and read your book? Great. We'll
So is
see you
there a
at dinner.
limit? Is there a limit to how many people can come to the retreat? Like, do you have like a set number, or is it like?
Yes. So often, these houses will be sort of 8 or 9 bedrooms, and
Got it.
some of them are shared, some of them are private. There's often a mix, but we
Yeah.
found our sweet spot is somewhere between 10 and 15.
Yeah.
One of our first retreats we had 21 people.
Mhm.
And it was just what we found is that people started separating into cliques.
Yeah.
It, it,
Yeah.
it sort of ended up doing the reverse of what we wanted. So
Yeah.
when you get a smaller number, it helps,
Build
bring the
build
group
the
together.
community and bring
Yeah.
everybody together. Yeah. Yeah.
And so we do classes. I do bar and Pilates, and I do strength training.
Okay.
And I
And
bring some
what's
equipment.
bar again? Talk a little bit about bar because I want to.
So bar is
Like ballet, right? Is it like ballet?
amazing. Yeah. So it's not ballet. It has ballet inspired moves,
Okay.
but it's also based in some simple athletic moves. So you might do a lunge, a squat, moves that we all know.
Yeah.
And then there might be some elements to it that are more ballet inspired. But the big thing about it is they're not all big moves. So it focuses on small moves, a
Okay.
small range of motion,
Uh-huh.
and holding it for a lot of reps. So the
Uh,
goal is to tire out one small specific set of muscles at a time. So you might work on your smaller glute muscles, your glute medius, right? Which is like your abductor, the muscle that helps you move your leg out to the side. And
mhm.
you might be doing a series for 5 minutes that just works on that muscle. And the point is to push it to fatigue, because bar is all about building muscular endurance. So you're not going to build bulk. It's not like taking a boot camp class, which is great. It's about, like I said, the endurance, the stamina.
Yeah.
So it's a great activity. I have a lot of students who take it in conjunction with other classes they're doing, because it helps them in those classes where they have to do these bigger moves. It just
Right.
helps them move easier.
Right.
And what's beautiful about it as well is it's low impact. So I have all age
Wow.
ranges. I have ladies who do
Right.
my Wednesday night bar class who are in their 70s.
Nice.
And,
Oh, so you teach them on Wednesday nights, the bar
so,
class?
yep. So my Wednesday night class, which is also at 6:30 Eastern
Yeah.
Standard, that is, I call it core bar, because we do about 30 minutes of standing work, and then we do about 15 minutes of core work. So we just get in a little bit of ab
Nice.
blast.
Nice. I like that. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
going to join you on that one as well. And again,
Yeah.
if I want to join you, I go to that website, right?
Yes. So it's all on Sutra. You have the
Instructor
link.
Pro.
Yeah, sutrapro.com. And then
Slash
I believe it's
Lenhart.
/ Yvette Lenhart.
Right. Okay. We'll
Yeah.
we'll have the link below the video, but
Okay.
I want to join you on one of these classes. And I wanted to ask you about the retreats as well because I know you have one coming up so soon. Is that
We
sold out
do.
already? The one
You
from
know
July
what?
2nd to the
Funny you should mention, I was just going to do a post today, actually. It was sold out. One of our guests, who is one of my amazing students, he got cast in a play in New York City with
20th.
a
Oh, nice.
really beautiful role, so he can't make it. So
Oh,
now we have one room available.
one
We're
spot.
doing a last minute discount on it. We're taking $200 off the price.
Okay.
So if anyone were to be interested, and it's in upstate New York, we provide transportation to and from Manhattan. So you don't even have to bring a wallet.
So
We
if
take care
someone
of
is
everything for you.
living in New York, then it's easy for them to get to that retreat because
Yeah. So
it's a
anywhere
taxi
in New
now.
Jersey, New York,
Okay.
Long Island, Connecticut.
All right. That's good to know. And then
Yeah.
the
And
next one
that
is
is July 22nd through the
through
25th.
the
So it's
25th.
just a long weekend away.
Okay, so it's like it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
It's
Monday, or
Thursday. We drive up on Thursday morning
Thursday,
and we check out on Sunday morning.
Sunday. Okay,
Yeah.
Thursday through
And
Sunday.
the house is amazing. It's on 35 acres of just beautiful land in the middle of Hudson Valley. It
Um,
has a pond, it has a pool, it has a tennis court. It's
that
just,
sounds
and
amazing.
we do hiking, we do wine tasting, we have all sorts of great classes, and
Oh, that
it's heaven.
sounds beautiful. And then I know there's another one in October, right? October 11th through
Yeah.
16th, and that one's in
So
Sedona.
that's in Sedona, Arizona. So this is going to
Nice.
be our
I
third
love
time
Sedona.
heading back to the same house.
Nice.
Um, and if anyone knows Sedona, it is situated right under Cathedral Rock. So the house, you wake up and you
Really?
look out the window and there are the Red Rocks right there. It's
Oh, that's
amazing.
gorgeous. Oh,
It's
beautiful. And that's
beautiful.
a good
Yeah,
location because it's pretty central as well.
it is. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So, and we're bringing back the same chef we had last time who was phenomenal. He was just, everybody loved him. I missed him when I came home. I was like, why can't I have Matt with me?
You should come home
um,
with me.
and it's and that is that's a little bit more of a sort of spiritual trip because we
Yeah,
take our guests to some different vortexes in
right.
Sedona, which, as you know, are points of high
Great
energy.
energy. Yeah,
Um,
beautiful.
Cheryl does a Thai massage workshop,
Yeah.
and we have some other things put in there that really kind
Nice.
of go with that whole theme. It's
But
really,
is this
it's an
one
amazing
also,
experience.
this is also a Thursday through a Sunday?
No, now because that's more of a destination because most people need to travel for that one. We make it Monday through Saturday.
Monday through Saturday. Okay,
Yeah,
that's good to know.
yeah. So that is the week of Columbus Day. So I think it begins. I think
Oh,
it's October 11th. So we
yes,
try to make it so a lot of people have off on that Monday, and
right,
that's a holiday week for a lot of people. So
right.
we
Okay.
try to make it convenient.
I'm gonna look and see if I can maybe join you guys that
Oh,
week.
that's amazing,
I
and we
love
are half
Sedona.
sold out on that. So
Are
that
you
one
sold out on that already?
half. I think
Half.
we have
Okay.
about 3 rooms left.
Okay. So
So
I better decide soon.
yeah. Yeah.
All right, good to know. Good to know. All right, good. Now, talking a little bit about how much time do we have left? We have a little bit, we have 10 minutes. So, I
Okay.
just wanted to kind of like ask you in terms of your own personal routines. Like, is there anything that you do besides, I mean, yes, you teach these classes, and so obviously you're very conscientious about your body and how you move with that. But in terms of daily routines, when it comes to supporting yourself in other ways, like emotionally or mentally, like, are there any things that you have in place that can help you, sustain the energy or sustain like the chaos that goes on in the world, or like, how do you
Right.
deal with life, like,
Um,
it's a big question. I know. I'm
you know
sorry.
what? What's funny is like the silver lining. of this pandemic, of this quarantine, has been me figuring that out. Because as you know, you lived in New York City for a long time.
Yes.
It is anyone who lives in a place like that or has a crazy life, you're in it and you don't realize it. So
Yeah.
I was teaching 13 classes a week. I had private clients, so I was running to and from homes, and no class in a day was at the same location. So I was running to and from the subway all the time,
Wow.
eating on the run, eating on the subway, eating at a Starbucks.
Ooh.
I didn't really realize how ridiculous it was until everything stopped,
Right.
you know? And I realized I don't want to go back to that because it was insane.
Yeah.
And so I really like my Zoom classes because it's something that I'm in control of the schedule. And it's, not something I have to run back and forth to. But
Yeah.
I do try to have a ritual. I haven't been so good with it lately, I'm going to admit, but I tried to start meditating because I have dealt with depression in my life, and it's something that runs in my family. So it's something that I'm aware of. And I started feeling myself going there. I started feeling myself just wanting to give up, of just saying, why bother? When classes ended for me, I saw my colleagues, other people I follow on Instagram and such doing online classes. And I seriously thought, why bother? Who's going to want to take my class? What makes me special? And I really almost didn't do it. And I remember I had one student who said, I miss your classes so much. I miss you. Like, reminded me that I had something
That was
to
the
offer
universe
that
giving you a little nudge.
was unique,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I realized, you know what, I'm going to just do me. So I started getting back into it. I started getting back into my routine on my terms.
Yeah.
But again, the meditation, I try to do like 15 or 20 minutes. That's it every day. Just a quick amount, just to settle myself. I try to give myself a little time every morning before I start planning classes or anything. So I'm a big tea drinker. My mom was British, so I can't help it.
Your mom was British?
She
Oh my God,
was.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So,
I have to tell Steven that your mom is British. I didn't know
you
that.
didn't know that?
No.
Yeah. I've spent, we used to go back home to her where she grew up almost every summer as a kid. So I feel like it's like a second home for me. I feel like I'm so comfortable there, and I still have a
Oh
lot of
my
family there
God.
too.
Yeah, so you're sort of like international.
Yeah.
That's
But
great.
I always make myself a cup of tea. I
Right.
will just sit and, sip on that. I mean, I think it's little things,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be this grand gesture, right? It
Yeah.
can be just
I
whatever
agree.
is a small thing that can just settle you.
Yeah.
Um, and at night, for me, it has always been the way, a little glass of wine. I try not to be crazy. I try to have one, but for me, when I finish my class and I know work is done, it's almost symbolic.
Yeah.
It's like
Like a ritual.
that is time to
Wind
disconnect.
down.
And
Yeah.
also cooking. So
Mhm.
I love cooking dinner, and that for me also cooking dinner is a way to disconnect from the day. So
Stress.
again, it's like I can't say for me, it's like I have these big things I do. They're
Yeah.
little bitty gestures that
Yeah.
I think
But I
just
mean, I think it doesn't matter how big the gesture is. I think as long as you know that it is something that makes you feel more
right,
present, more grounded, more relaxed, I
right,
think it doesn't really matter. It could be that you just walk out of your door and like just sit in the grass for 2 minutes. I
right.
mean, if that
Yeah,
helps you relax and that makes you feel
right.
good, who cares? It's just,
No, I agree. But I think there's a lot of pressure for me too. I mean, to do something that is huge, to have something that is like, you know, um, like a bigger gesture. I don't know, like meditating for an hour, or, especially me and being in the business I'm in,
yeah,
even, I feel pressure to do something that is kind of like I can inspire people. But, you know, these
yeah.
little things, and I think you're right, just finding something small. For me, also walking the dog. I walk
Oh,
Jasper, like
yeah,
for, it can be 30 minutes, but I'm outside. I'm just enjoying the day. That's
Yeah.
it.
And it's
So
great.
yeah,
Animals and nature are like the two things that are it's so organic and so natural, and you feel like you can fall into it so quickly, right?
yeah,
I love that.
yeah,
I mean, if you're not a pet person, then obviously maybe just nature, but I think that there are things, and everyone's so different, right? We cannot ever compare ourselves to
absolutely.
what other people do that makes them relax, right?
Right,
Because
right.
what makes you relax may not make me relaxed, or what makes my husband
Absolutely.
relax doesn't make me relaxed. So it's so important not to compare ourselves with what other people are doing, but what works for us personally.
Right,
And I've learned
right.
that, for me, it's little things. It's really literally, I don't do anything
Yeah,
huge either. For me, it's like just, stepping onto my patio and just sitting in that chair and looking out into my backyard with the trees, that
yeah.
makes me happy,
Right,
Just sit there
right,
for 5 minutes and let myself get inspired,
right, right.
and that's all I need to just
Yeah,
get that centeredness back, right?
right.
Because it's all
For me
about just
too.
finding your center again, right?
Yeah. I was going to say, based, getting back to how we are sensory, us Turians, for me, it's about sense too. So lighting a candle or putting on a different body cream that day that I haven't used in a
Right,
while, that every time I move, I smell it a little bit. It's just those
right.
silly little things like that too.
Yeah.
Just
That can really make you feel good. And I
sense you.
think women have a bit of an advantage with stuff like that, right? Because we
Yeah.
tend to experiment a little bit more with like what makes us feel good, right? When it
Right,
comes
right,
to
right, right.
like creams and candles and flowers and things like that. I think
Exactly.
men are maybe a little bit more shy with experimenting with those things.
Right,
But I think it is important to find whatever it is that works for you, right? That gives you the
right.
sense of like, I call it the
Yeah.
thing. It's like an effect. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever that is, it's
Absolutely. Whatever that is.
whatever that
Yeah.
is, right? And even if it's just a little thing, for sure, yeah. All right. Well, is there anything else that you want to share with us that you feel like is important to tap on or to talk about?
I think just what we had talked about before about finding what works for you. I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of people feel pressure to do a certain thing. Like, oh, I've heard I'm supposed to meditate, or
Right.
I'm supposed to work out every day, or I shouldn't be eating meat. I'm supposed to be a vegetarian, or,
Right.
and everybody is different.
Yeah.
And I try all the time, even when someone signs up for my class for the first time, I say, try a class. If you don't like it, I'm not offended. This is about you. Or even during a class, I say, if you need to stop, make this hour about you. If you want to do a version that with a different arm, or keeping your feet down, or any modification, never listen to anybody else. And especially, I'll speak to my world. I know a lot of people who have gotten hurt, who've gotten injuries, who've pushed themselves because they've listened to someone who they think is a professional. They think someone who's
Who
supposed
is
to
an
know.
authority in their field. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think
But I think you
listening
can
to
only
yourself.
be an authority in your own right over your own body, right? I mean, whatever works for you is you are the authority that has to have the
Right.
ultimate last say over that because
Yeah.
nobody else knows you as well as you know yourself, right? That's what I
Right.
always say. And it is,
So
and also I would say this. I mean, since this podcast or this interview series is called Uncertainty and Change, how do we deal with uncertainty and change? I think that listening to yourself, right, and really heeding your own, advice in terms of like what works for you, helps us with uncertainty and
right.
change, right? Because what
Right.
if you are centered and if you are in a place of feeling in alignment with yourself, anything that happens outside of you, whatever the uncertainty, whatever the change might be, you are so much more capable of meeting that in a
Right.
healthy way, in a way that is present and strong, right?
Right. Right.
When we're constantly listening to what other people think, I call it the shoulds, right? I call it like what my shoulds
Yeah.
are, right? Or shoulding
Yeah.
on yourself, right?
Yeah.
Because
Shooting yourself.
shooting on yourself, yeah. Because, we have a lot of voices that we listen to, right? That are not our own voices, whether it's our
Right.
parents or whether it's society or the news or, our peers or people that we respect, authority figures, right? And there's so many other voices that get in the way sometimes, right? Of like
Right.
actually just
Right.
listening to your own voice.
Right.
And you have to kind of sort through that until you get to that place of like, wait a second, I don't need to be doing that. Not that there's anything wrong with taking in feedback or listening to other people, but you still have to understand what is ultimately your last word for yourself, right?
Right. And you know what I will say about that
Yeah.
is oftentimes as well, what I've found with myself is I think a voice is external and it's actually coming from me. Like I'll think I'm supposed to be doing this. I can't take a day off and just nap in the middle of the day because I can't, and it's me. No one has said I can't do that.
Yeah.
Or if I have a second glass of wine, I shouldn't do that. Or, I mean, more often than not, your own voice
Can be
is,
can be very harsh.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
even though there are a lot of external voices, what I find oftentimes is the harshest voice for
is
me
your
is
yeah.
my own.
Yeah.
So giving yourself a break, and I know that's such an overused term and you hear it all the time, but it's so freaking true. I
Yeah.
know too many women, especially, well, a lot of men too, who are so concentrating on what they're supposed to be doing for their children, their job, their friends. Oh, I have to be doing this. Oh, I was invited to their birthday party. I really have to go. Oh, and giving yourself permission to say no, which also I'm really working on myself,
Yeah.
and to take a rest, take a nap in the middle of the day. It's like,
Yeah.
getting better at doing that, I
But
think is
getting
huge.
better at being kinder with yourself, right? It's what I call
Yeah.
the compassion factor, right? It's like you got to be compassionate with yourself and kinder with yourself because there if you push yourself too hard and you expect of yourself too much, you are going to come to a breaking point at some point.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not sustainable, right? You have
Right.
to look at like what's sustainable in my life, and keeping pushing yourself is not sustainable for the long haul. You might be able to
Something's
do
going
it
to break.
yeah, at some point, you have an injury, or at some point you're
Yeah.
gonna just have a meltdown or whatever it might be, right?
Right. Right.
So
Right. It could be
knowing,
mentally or physically. Right.
yeah, exactly, or emotionally, absolutely. So just knowing that, the kinder you are with yourself and the more compassion you can have with yourself, the more sustainable that's sustainable,
Right.
right? Because when you're
Right.
kind with yourself, that's always sustainable.
Yeah.
There's never a
No,
breaking
very
point
true.
with that. That's for sure.
No, really true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And finding that the time and the moments and just allowing yourself that, whatever that is. And again, like you said before, everybody's different.
Yeah.
It, you know,
Yeah.
whatever
Exactly.
they find that helps them do that.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's so great talking to you. I just love having you as a guest.
Oh,
This
thank
was so
you.
amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for
Well,
making
thank you
time.
for inviting me. I'm
Yeah,
really excited to be a part of this
yeah,
series. So,
yeah. So I
um,
can't wait to check out some of your classes and to hopefully I can make it work for the retreat in October. I would love to because I love
that would
Sedona.
be great.
I've done retreats there as well myself, and it's such an incredible environment, to be
It is.
doing a retreat for people because just the energy
Yeah.
there was so it's just so exalted there, and you will meet that. What I love about Sedona is you will meet whatever it is that you need to meet. It feels like energetically speaking, you arrive there and whatever needs to show up will show up for you
That's such a
to.
great way of putting it.
Mhm.
I've never kind of heard it put that way, but that is spot on. I'm going to totally steal that.
Please do, please do. Absolutely, absolutely. All right. So for anybody who wants to get in touch with you, there will be information below
That'd
the
be great.
video. I will
Yep.
also have my own information below the video as well for people who want to do astrology readings or coaching sessions. So all of that will be available. And I guess if people have questions for you, would they be able to contact you? Would they be able to email you or?
So many ways. They could email me. they could find me on Instagram. And also I wanted to mention that the
Right.
Sutra link is in my Instagram bio.
Perfect.
So
Okay.
they could message me through that.
Okay, great.
But email is best, and I'm pretty good at answering right away. So absolutely, any questions they
Fantastic.
have, or
Okay,
they
concerns,
can do that.
questions, logistics,
Yep,
whatever they need. Okay,
yep.
great. Awesome. All right. So then that's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yay!
Pleasure
Thank you,
having
Sonia. It
you.
was good, so good to
Yeah.
see you and be a part of this.
Really good to see you too.